How's it going, guys? My name is Dom, and today I want to talk about the recent Chrome update number 64, which brings quite a few new features to the board, but I want to talk about the idea of grouping your console messages and also the new console sidebar. So here I've got an index.html file. Inside this script tag, I'm going to simply log out a few messages to the console. So I'm going to say console.log hello. I'm also going to console.error, so I'm going to put an error message out there. I'm going to say that shouldn't have happened. Alright, I'm also going to do a warning, so I'm going to use console.warn for that one. I'm going to say maybe that shouldn't have happened. Alright, so we've got these three messages out on the console right now. If I save this, go in the browser, and then refresh, we get those three messages in the console, just like normal. But going over to the top left here, we have a new icon called the Show Console Sidebar. If you click on this one, we get new filtering options for the console messages. So, the first part here is all messages combined into one space, and that's called the messages section. The second one is the user messages. For me, I found this is actually this is your logs, warnings, errors, all that stuff is inside your user messages. We have obviously the errors here, so that only shows the errors, same with the warnings, and same with the infos and the logs. We've also got a verbose section, which I'll touch on later. But here, clicking on the arrow here, on one of these arrows, you get where the actual messages came from. So you can filter it by the source of that line of code or that script. So, back inside the editor here, if I make a new script file called external.js, make a new file here, we'll call it external.js. I'm going to log out a message inside here called hello, I'm from external. Alright, if I save this one, and in the index.html file, I'll just actually include this file. So I'll say script source, and include that external script file. So we'll say external.js, save this one. Back inside Chrome, if we now refresh, we actually get the option to filter the console by whatever external script that was. So now pressing on this right here, we only get the messages from that script itself. Also clicking on the index file, we get the same external because that external script was part of the index file, so you actually get it inside there as well. But you can obviously filter it just by the external script. Now, for the verbose section, this is useful when using the console.debug method. So, back inside the editor once again, if we make a new object down here, let's say const obj1 equals a new object literal. We'll give two properties here. We'll say name as being Dominic and favorite food as being an array of, let's just say, chicken and pasta. Alright, so now using the console.debug method, we're going to debug this to the console screen. So we'll say console.debug and then pass in obj1. Now saving this back inside Chrome, we'll refresh and we get a new entry in the verbose section. So this is quite useful obviously when you want to debug your code and only show the sections that you specifically wanted to debug. So it's definitely going to come in handy. Now we also have this idea of grouping similar console messages. So a new checkbox up here, this one right here allows you to, as it says, group similar console messages. So, for example, inside the code here, if I was to make a few violations, a few warnings using the document.write method, we'll see what happens. So I'm going to say document.write and say this isn't recommended. Alright, I'm going to copy this 5 times, like that, save this, go back inside Chrome, and then refresh. This time we get, obviously the result, but also in the console, a few violations. Now, we only get one, but we have the little arrow here. Click on this one, we actually get all the previous ones listed out all nicely. So it'll group your messages if they're similar or the same. For me, I found that actually using the console.warn multiple times, so I'll write out multiple times, as an example text. If I do this multiple times and then save this one and then refresh, you actually only you get it multiple times. Like, it doesn't actually group it, but I'm not sure why that's the case, but it does work with violations. So that is the new console sidebar and the idea of grouping similar messages in the recent Chrome update number 64. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you later.